Welcome back, YouTubers. I'm Hydroponic, and this is Hydroponic. Grow anything. On today's episode, just giving a weekly update on how all the plants are doing. Also, on today's episode, we'll be discussing my new ppm meter, ECTDS meter, and basically the overall health of the plants. Also, we'll be talking about the deficiencies that I see in some of my plants, and about flowers that's coming, flower buds that's coming on all the tomato plants, and about the flowers coming on the strawberries and strawberries that are already formed. Also on this episode, we'll be discussing clones that I'm starting using Clone X. So with no further ado, let's get started. Like I said, today's episode, one of the topics we're going to talk about the deficiencies that I see in some of my plants. As far as the yellowing, it looks worse with this red and blue light on. It makes it a little funky color yellow, but even so, there's still some deficiencies going on in there, like magnesium, maybe because of the yellowing of the leaves in some of the leaves. And what I come to figure out, that I think with my ppm meter, is that these plants in the middle that are real nice, bright and green, are taking up most of the nutrition from these outer plants, which is making these outer plants, lack nutrition. It's said that the pepper plants, hot pepper plants, should be between 2,000 and 2,400 ppm. So when I tested the ppm on this tank, it was around 720, which is what led me to believe that the middle flowers are taking most of the nutrition from the outer flowers, plants, and that's why it's more yellowing of the leaves, and the size of these plants are drastically different, even though they all came out at the same time. So I didn't bump the nutrition ppm up to 2,000. Right now, I can't remember. Let me check this real quick. And this is a Blue Lab conductivity pen. Probably one of the best in the industries. And right now, I'm at 1,700 ppm at 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Let me put a hold on that. Let me get that on camera. 1700. And the reason I didn't go up all the way to 2000 or even 22,500 is because of this tank right here. Now these plants been in this tank since they started from seeds, and as you see, the leaves on these are like almost what you would call perfect for the most part, as far as color and everything, as green as they are. And the ppm on when I tested this today was let me get up in there, get in my belly, 1200. So with that being said, you know, I'm just starting off, I'm just experimenting. With that being said, these plants are looking like they're doing pretty well. So I just went into like the middle of 12 and 24 and put these at 17, you know. And with this tomato plant right here, when I tested the ppm, it was at a breathtaking 3,400 ppm. So I dropped that one down. So picking up where we started off, like I was saying, the ppm on this is 1,200 ppm, and I read that pepper plants should be between 2,000 and 2,400. I'm not too sure, because like I said, at 1,200, these potted plants look like they're doing excellent, and I know 720 was way too low for these, but like I say, I think like the nutrition was going to like the middle of the tank mostly, because as you see, like most of these plants are green except for a couple. It just depends. I don't know if it's the lighting or what. If you got any helpful tips or anything, I'm welcome to suggestions and would love to hear. I'm open for suggestions and would love feedback. If you can tell me why these plants that are in the same tank, being in the same tank, came out of the ground, the seed the same time, germinated the same time rather, and why there's such discrepancies in size and in the color on some of the plants. Some are big and green, and some are yellow, small and pale green to yellow. But other than what I already noticed, that the ppm was way too low at 720. So I said I didn't go all the way up to 2,000 or 24. I wanted to like get in the middle, since this tank is doing excellent at 1,200. I put this one at 1,700 just to see if it'll be a change, whether it be good or bad. Now this is my tomato slash pepper tank with a couple of extras thrown in. Now when I tested this tank's ppm on my Blue Lab conductivity pen, it was testing at around 1100 ppm, and besides that pepper plant right there, the biggest pepper plant, besides that plant, all the other plants, besides a couple of these little guys, look to be doing excellent. So I went from 1100 and bumped the ppm up to 1360, and I read somewhere that tomatoes should be around 1500 ppm to 3000 ppm, but up a little bit, you know. As I said, I'm doing experiments. This is my first grow hydroponic or soil, and I'm just testing different things out, you know, all the things that I learned from my fellow YouTubers, and like I'm putting it together and trying to make my own way. With that being said, I noticed back on Friday, this past Friday, January 29th, 2021, that my tomato plants are starting to produce flower buds all over. There goes a cluster right there on this plant, another cluster right here, another cluster right there, and off in here is a nice cluster right there, 3. And even on these smaller plants, it's clusters everywhere. And over here again on the other side, this was the first flower that I noticed, and you see how big it got in what, three days. They start off real tiny, like microscopic, you can barely see them. And there goes some flowers, and some more flowers over here, and some more flowers. And even on this one, we have flower clusters, and off in here more flower clusters. And even on these ones I pruned to death, got flower clusters. And it's this notion going around online. I don't know if I hear it wrong, but I heard it several times. They are telling you to cut the suckers off, and the suckers are the ones that grow in the armpit of, let's say, like this limb and this limb. This that's growing in the armpit would be considered a sucker. And it's only one video I've seen so far that a guy said don't cut the suckers because they bring the flowers, which the flowers in return turns to buds. I mean, turns to fruit. So when I stopped cutting my suckers very early and started cutting my foliage, and basically was right, because as you see, I have flowers producing everywhere. You know, and like I said in my previous videos, I topped these tomato plants at a very early stage in their life, because I wanted to make like a little bonsai tomato tree. I didn't want it to grow 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 feet tall, or long, however you want to put it. And so I topped them early, and And see, yeah, I got my flowers coming in. So probably another week, maybe 2 weeks, they'll be even bigger and starting to open up. And also in this tank, like I said, as far as the tomatoes, you know, they look pretty darn good as far as I can see. Like I say, if you ever seen anything that I say that you have an opinion about, I'm more than welcome and open to all positive feedback. Or if you have a question, I'm open to answer questions to the best of my ability. But like I say, as far as the tomato plant goes, they all pretty much look pretty darn healthy. Only problem with this tank is this pepper plant, which just started showing signs nutrition deficiency in the leaves. Not too major, but you know, I want to stop it. And so that's the reason I went up from 1100 ppm to I believe it's at 1380 right now. So and again, I'm using my Blue Lab ppm meter. Around 1360. So hopefully bumping that up a little bit, I help these couple pepper plants that, you know, showing a little deficiency in nutrition, like this one with the brown spots of the leaves, or purple, whatever color you want to call it. And like this one, it's not as dark green as you would want it. And this pepper plant over here, it's got a little yellowish to it. But other than that, you know, they're looking pretty good. And these are long, thin Cheyenne peppers. And these two right here, these shorter ones, are Casabella peppers. This is a Casabella pepper, Casabella long thin. And this one, I believe, is a Grand Bell, but I'm not too for sure. We got the labels mixed up kind of early starting off, so this is unknown. But I did earlier this week, on Wednesday or so, I did prune this pepper plant, and as you see, I got some leaves coming back in. I didn't prune it all the way down. I cut off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 leaves. You know, I haven't topped it at all yet. I want to grow a little bit taller. Don't know if it is, but hey, we shall see. It's still in the early stages. And you see, like this long thin back here, it's already getting pretty tall. It's pretty strong. Yeah, but they look pretty decent. I see a couple, you know, imperfections that's led me to believe there's nutrition deficiency. And what I'm assuming or guessing is that since these tomato plants are looking so good and green and full and doing everything they're supposed to do, that is taking away the nutrition from the little pepper plants. So like I said, I bumped it up from 1100 to 13. It's at around 1360, 1380 right now. And talk about the strawberries. And as you see from my previous videos, back to our strawberries. As you see, I had to cut the very first flower that started turning to a strawberry. For some strange reason, it's not on here anymore. I cut it off already. For some strange reason, it just stopped progress. But other than that, all the strawberries that I already pollinated are turning into strawberries, and they're getting big. If you watch my previous videos, you can see the progress of like this guy right here, how big it's getting. All the ones that are around it, I still have flowers coming in. Like this one just opened up, so we're gonna go ahead and pollinate with our makeup brush. Pollinate that flower. And I also have some white strawberries. They're called pine berries. They're kind of rare strawberries, and for every 4 pine berries, you should plant 1 regular strawberry, because when these pine berries bloom, they often don't have the male part, the pollination, the pollen. They with these white strawberries, they often don't have the pollen, the male parts, to pollinate the flower, or maybe not enough. So what you have to do is take some of your pollen from your red strawberries and pollinate the white strawberries. So whenever I have a red strawberry open with pollen, I'll pollinate that strawberry flower, and then I'll check to see if any of my white strawberries have opened up and need help pollinating, or need that pollen, you know, to go on and make the strawberries. And you see, like this is a red strawberry. If you look, it's already starting to turn into a strawberry. You can tell by when these little pollen nuts turn from yellow, as it is in this flower, and they turn from yellow to, they start turning to red, and then all the leaves will fall off. All the petals will fall off, sorry. So with that being said, as you can see how this has the male part, which is the part that has the pollen going around it, and this white one doesn't. And that's how you can tell your reds from, well, that's how I tell my red strawberry plants from my from my white strawberry plants. But you know, go ahead and pollinate this flower that opened up probably earlier today. I was in here earlier and I didn't see it open, so it probably opened up within the last couple of hours. So what I normally do is just, you know, secure the plant gently, and I just twirl the brush around in there and get that pollen all in there. And while I still have pollen on the brush, I'll go to my white strawberries, or even my red strawberries that didn't have the male part, and I'll just brush, you know, a little bit every time until they start to turn reddish and the petals start falling off. If the petals still on there, that means they're not pollinated. If they're not falling off, they mean they're not pollinated. And so, and sometimes I would just double tap, and to make sure that, you know, I get good pollination on all my strawberry flowers, whether they be the red ones or the white ones. So yeah, sometimes like even the red strawberries, you know, they'll open up and they don't have the male part going around, so I just borrow some from their neighbor and, you know, pollinate. And I like to make sure, like, because I don't have like rows and rows and rows of strawberry, so I want my plants to, you know, pollinate, have a high success rate of pollination. So I go through a couple of times a day and, you know, run this brush through to pollinate them. And then I also, as you know, if you've been watching my channel, I also use the wind method and run my little fan for some time out the day. And like this is one plant over here, because some of these have like 2, 3, 4 plants in them. Like this one has 3, I believe, and this one has 3 of them. It had 4, but I put one over here because this little guy wasn't doing too good over there, and those big plants was getting light. And when I got these strawberries, I got them at the same time, and they came in a bag, 10 for $3.99, 10 white ones and 10 red ones. And the red ones, I kind of got them mixed up when I soaked them in the bucket, but I noticed the red ones, they were like, the roots were all big, the crowns, most of them were all big, and like the white strawberries, they were small, like this fellow. So I'm almost positive that's a white strawberry. And then if you notice, I don't know if my camera can get off in there, like the crowns on the white strawberries, and I can get this a little bit better, or often a lot smaller than the crowns on the red ones. Just a little side note, not important. But yeah, I read today on the ppm that you should, during the vegetation stage of strawberries, the ppm should be around 800 to 900, and when it comes to the flowering stage, you should drop it down to between 400 and 500. I haven't did too much research on that. I want to do a little bit more, because when I tested these strawberry, this tank, the ppm was at around 1380, if I'm remembering correctly, and I basically dropped it down to I basically dropped it down to 840 at 73 degrees Fahrenheit. because I'm just using my what do you want to call it, common sense, instinct, and just looking at my strawberry plants. Yeah, I see a couple of leaves on certain plants that's showing a lack of nutrition or overnutrition, however it may be. So, but overall, you know, they look pretty darn good to me. I'm not an expert, not a botanist. I'm just a regular guy that likes to flex a lot and do. And now I'm doing hydroponic for the first time. And I like to make that note, cause if I say something that's not correct, I don't want all the backlash and people talking crazy to me. Hey, if you see something, you got a positive attitude and positive help, I appreciate it, because I'm learning, I'm looking up stuff every day, and I'm just winging it and trying to learn on the go. And when I started this project off, I had no idea that I would be at almost $2,500 invested, if not more, and that's not including my time. So if you got some helpful tips that'll help me out before I mess something up, I appreciate it. But back on subject, these strawberries been flowering. So this was the first strawberry plant to start blooming and producing flowers, and that was on January 21st, 2021. And as you see the progress so far, after 11 days, almost 2 weeks, they're looking pretty good and look like they're gonna be a decent size. And this plant right here is gonna produce quite a bit of strawberries for me. But like I said, I don't have a lot of space. This is what this 4 by 2 foot space that I'm growing all this on, and I got about, I want to say anywhere from 10 to 15 strawberry plants in this little container. Like I said, I try to make sure all my flowers get pollinated. I did cut some flowers off on these smaller ones because they were just way too small to start flowering, and I want to run some tests on and see how much difference it'll be if I cut the first flowers off. So I'm gonna do that test on this plant right here, and then again on this one. But I'm not gonna cut the runners. I'm just gonna cut the first flowers, and I'm gonna let those runners go and see what they do. And on this one back here, I got a runner that I'm not gonna cut. It's a white strawberry, and I figured they probably not produce a lot of berries as is anyway. And yeah, this is, like I said, that's 2 separate plants, and got some more flowers blooming in on both of those. That one hasn't opened up yet. Yeah, but as far as I can see, they all look pretty good and decent. I got the pH level, pretty good on all of them. And like I say, I'm testing this ppm out. You know, I'm using the Humble Secret Nutrition, and I have to do some more research on ppm. But when I do that research, I will make another video. If I have to do any updates to my tanks at all, I will update. And yeah, I'll do some updates if I have to change the ppm to any other tanks. But I'm looking at this habanero tank of 6 as a reference to like how I want my plants to be. So far they all look good, all look green and healthy. And like I say, this tank is at around 1200 ppm. This tank was at 720, and now it's at 1700. And then this tank was at 11, and now it's at 1380. So as far as my peppers and tomato tanks, this one looks the best. So we're gonna leave it alone and see if 17 is too much or not enough, or see if 13 is too much or not enough. And with the strawberries, we're gonna see if 900 or 820 is enough and make it produce more flowers, or is 820 not enough, or if 820 is way too much and you need to go down to 400 to 500, as I read, to produce more flowers and more strawberries. But time will tell, because like I said, I had this tank at 1300. Well, I didn't have it there, that's where it was. And I dropped it down to 830. So we'll see in the next couple of days to a week, you know, how everything looks on all the tanks, and give you another weekly update on next week episodes. Also today, I went to the hydroponic store and got this growth technology Clone X rooting gel, because I've been, you know, doing clippings off my tomato plants and just putting them in water, and absolutely nothing has been happening. So today I went and picked up this Clone X, and what I usually do, I've been doing this for a long time, is, you know, cut those little bottom leaves off, and the direction says dip your cutting into the gel solution and then put it into your grow medium in a, let me get the exact words they used, and place in propagator or a warm, clean, moist, and humid environment. Look for root development in 1 to 2 weeks. So I got a couple over there done, and I'm gonna do another one.
Go.
So what we're gonna do is take this cutting and see if we can get to grow roots by following directions, putting the desired length into the Clone X by Grow Technology rooting gel. It'll just stick that in there like that, and I was meaning to pull it back some. So I'm gonna stick that in there like that. Get that all over there. Stick it into our rock wool. And then stick our rock wool into our basket. And just put this in there. And this is just temporary, just until the roots take place. And in about a week or two, we'll give you an update on how this little guy's doing and our other two, how they are doing. Till next time, like and subscribe. In conclusion, we, changed most of all the tank's ppm, and we're gonna give it a couple of days to a week and see how everything goes, and if everything is looking good or progressing good, we're gonna keep it like that. And if I think something needs to change, we'll look into it. But other than that, I'm going back to the books, do some more research on this ppm. Just wanted to give y'all an update on my new tool. That's the Blue Lab conductivity pen. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions, comments, leave them at the bottom. And remember, like and subscribe and hit that bell. I'm Mr. Flexponics, and I'll see you next week.